Okay, now I'm going to talk about why drugs, alcohol, caffeine, all of that stuff is not in the highest order of love from my own personal experience. So one thing I've noticed about people who have gone through an egoic death, or they've remembered they're one with God and felt God's love, is they still smoke weed afterwards. Now, I smoked weed for 15 years before I awakened, and I used to drink. I took Adderall, Ambien, Xanax, did all of those things, tried other drugs too, psychedelics, all of that. So here's the foundation of it. When you awaken, you remember that you are an image of God, in a sense, right? That you are a representation of God in human form, which is a really big deal. So you have to start to believe it. So a part of this whole process post-death, egoic death, is you wake up to the fact that you are a spirit. Now, if you haven't fully remembered that, that's because maybe that was too much for you at the time to hold that truth, but it's real. And that's what I awakened to, is that I am a spirit, like direct, like that. My inner state that I kept hidden, she's been coming out. And this whole process since I awakened 6 years ago has been shedding all of the distortion to allow her, which is me, to be her at all times and in all things, which is basically a higher order coming down here, right, to a lower order of the world. Now, when you do drugs still, sorry, I blanked for a second. When you still smoke and do all of that, you have to ask yourself, am I embodying a higher order version of God? Because you have to ask yourself, would God smoke weed? Would God drink alcohol? I mean, you subconsciously know this stuff is poison, right? And then you also have to ask yourself that, like, you lose control over your mind. So as I've spoken about in other videos, yes, you're one with all, but there are different thought forms and entities that go in and out of your field based off frequency vibration. And so when you smoke or drink caffeine or any of that stuff, you alter the state of what enters your field. And you have almost kind of lose control, because you get into either a fight or flight. When you're smoking, you can have a bad trip. It can make you extra sensitive to where your central nervous system can't hold it, which can cause anxiety, etc. And then alcohol is just like a hot mess, right? Like, people become different people on alcohol, and then there's a veil on them that they just use it as an excuse. So I want you guys to view it like this. There are spirits everywhere, which is like different thought forms of different frequencies. They are all around us. Some people can see them. I cannot see them because I don't want to, but I can hear them and I can feel them. And so what happens is you have all of these like avatar humans walking around. Some people are conscious, meaning they're aware that the thoughts that come into their field when they're in certain environments or places or things like that are not them, and they don't have to choose to believe or act on those thoughts. A majority of people, though, are unconscious, meaning when a thought enters their field, they think that that's them, and they completely identify with it. Now, it is them in a sense that it is a version belief system that exists around this world, but they do not need to feed it. So I want you to think of it this way, and you can actually feel the entities feeding off of you, or these thought forms, if you're very like aware, right? Where you go active behavior out and you have these moments where you're like, why am I doing this? And it's almost like you feel like you have no control, like someone has taken over you and is literally having you act out this act. Now, the fact that you become aware of that in the moment already starts to untangle that belief system or entity or whatever you want to call it, hold over you. So bringing awareness, but it's not just bringing awareness, it's actively overriding the thought. So awareness is the first step, but then actively acknowledging the act acknowledging what that entity or whatever was having you act upon that does not align with your true state, and then overriding it and saying, in whatever way, that this doesn't align with me and this is why, because blank, blank, and blank. Now, what's interesting is life is specifically set up to get you to hold more and more truth, in the sense that you are accountable for everyone in this world. And what I mean by that is, like, let's say you drink alcohol and you're not an alcoholic. Like, you can casually drink alcohol like a few times a year and you're totally fine. But other people are alcoholics and they have a hard time with alcohol. Well, by you continuing to drink, you are saying it's okay, even though, yes, it doesn't impact you so negatively, but it's impacting other people in the world negatively. So you have to ask yourself, if you fully take on accountability for not only yourself, but for everyone in the world, you would not want to continue to drink alcohol at all. You would want to set a good example, because that's the world that you would want to live in order to make this world a better place. The problem with people in this world, I guess it's not a problem, but the thing that people get like whatever about is they want a better world, but they don't want to look at themselves. They don't want to look at what are they doing. Like, you have to ask yourself, if I could create any world, what habits would I take with me? Because it's that serious. Like, this is like a very serious simulation. Like, it's funny because people take their identities and roles seriously. And it's funny in the sense that people cling to poison and justify it. Like, that's where the satire and the humor comes in. But like, the pain is like, it feels so real. And so it starts with you if you want to change it. And you have to look at everything in your life. Now, sometimes it gets really overwhelming. And then you just need to take a breath and you need to just start somewhere, right? So like alcohol, like food consumption, drink consumption, and then what you consume in terms of like reading, TV shows, and movies. Those are things that you can immediately start to ask yourself. Another thing too, as you clean up what you consume, like diet-wise, you don't need lotions and potions and all this BS that they advertise. Like, the entire skincare and like all that whole industry and all of these injections and everything is completely toxic to your spiritual body. Like, and like, if you continue to feed any of that, what you're doing is you're saying you don't believe that you're in the spiritual world, right? And you don't believe that your body can naturally heal itself. And you believe that you need these things. And you believe that medicine needs to happen. Like, everyone needs to acknowledge that the belief systems that they choose to feed in their mind is what is creating this reality. Now, there are people in this world who are from a higher place of existence that operates differently than how this world was set up. And part of their responsibility, if this resonates with you, is you are meant to embody the truth that you've been shown, so you can show people who operate in a lower way of operating how to rise. Now, all of us, the higher ones and the lower ones, no one's better than anyone else, and they all come from the same source. The only difference is their perception of reality and how much truth they can hold, of taking accountability for their life and their actions, and then realigning with a higher order that matches our original state before the distortion. So that's the goal, right? So if you're feeling lost and you've awakened and you feel like you keep going backwards, all you need to do is literally surrender. And what I mean by surrender is just say to God, I'm ready. I'm ready to live in alignment with what you have showed me love feels like. And I'm ready to be a vessel for you in whatever you ask me to do. And then more truths will be shown to you, but you will have to act in accordance. And then what happens is you literally are being reordered to a new being, or like you're like a being in general that is higher than this realm that you become. And it's very real.